Thank you for joining us as we navigate the world with your aging loved one. We are here to help family members, loved ones, and the senior living community explore this inner world of aging and senior living with helpful resources and informative interviews. We get to do this together, so join us on our journey, and this is the willGather podcast. Joining me is Alexis Perkins, founder of Chair One Fitness. I had the opportunity to connect with Alexis, and I just loved our conversation the other day and thought it was such a great resource for seniors and family members, especially we are at a time right now where we're at home and not really able to utilize different options. We both connected because we serve our senior living communities, and being in our business, we have access to all of these great resources that are available, but oftentimes the general public and family members don't get a chance to hear all that's available to them. So we are excited to welcome Alexis Perkins. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, this is just great. We get to connect and have conversation with people I'm in Minneapolis. You're in
Virginia.
Virginia, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have something in common. We both had a really close relationship with our grandmothers, and we worked with seniors, and that really shaped our career. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you created Chair One Fitness.
Of course. So, I'd actually been in the fitness industry for over 10 years, and I started off teaching high impact aerobics, so many different formats between Zumba, commit dance fitness, those things. And I was randomly asked if I could teach at an assisted living facility, and I had never done so before, but I figured I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, why not?
So I called my grandma and made sure to ask her thoughts on her favorite music, things like that. What would she like? And I pretty much created this class and went in there and was teaching it under one of my other licensures. But boy, oh boy, I had to learn everything on the spot when I got there. So most fitness certifications don't necessarily prepare you for the obstacles you're going to have at a senior living facility, if it could be like dementia, Alzheimer's, stroke, amputation.
Right.
So I started doing that, and I was learning along the way. So I had been teaching chair-based classes for about 9 years while I was still teaching my high-intensity classes. And it was really a lot of fun because even like with my Zumba, I got the opportunity to teach all over the world and learn so much from each other country that I was at. It's so cool what you learn when you jump into other cultures and got to bring it back home.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah. And so during this time, I also had a local fitness television show. We were on air for 5 years, and out of those 5 years, we taped 40 episodes. So I was just the local fitness lady. It wasn't like being on Beachbody.
Right.
It was just local.
Yes, but you encourage people and give them these amazing skills.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so basically out of those 40 episodes, we had 38 of them that were like high intensity dance fitness because that's what I was passionate about. And then since I had been teaching the chair classes, I was also co-producer of the show. So I said, hey, why don't we just do like 1 or 2 episodes in a chair? And we did. And so once it hit the air and once it hit YouTube, what we saw was we were getting way more feedback from the chair episodes than anything else. And it literally confused me, right?
Wow, yes.
I was like, hold up. Why are we getting so many emails about a chair class? Because ideally you would think, who gets excited about chair fitness? Really?
Right.
Who gets excited?
Who knew? Yes.
So what happened is I would respond to the emails, and then one day I just randomly looked at the YouTube channel, and the 38 episodes, if you were to look at them today, like right this second, the 38 dance fitness ones averaged between 1,000 and 3,000 views each. So not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all.
Not too shabby. But if you go to the chair one, it jumps from 3,000 to 500,000.
Oh my goodness.
And
You found the best thing ever.
Right. I was like, why is this happening? So then I looked at all of the comments, and prior to reading the comments, I would have assumed that chair-based exercise programs were just for mainly seniors, right?
Right.
But if you look at the comments, it's like, hey, my dad is 90. We work out to your video. Hey, I have a torn ACL. I was sitting at home and I stumbled across your video. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to dance. I just had a hip replacement. Thank you so much. I'm going through dialysis and I get to do this program. I'm obese. This was a great start for me. And I'm like, whoa, this is a whole world of people who
Really
would
is.
benefit, and nobody has been thinking about them. Who's been thinking about them?
Right.
Who literally sits down and thinks, let me give people with spina bifida the opportunity to exercise from a chair? It's like an afterthought, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
So, and of course, our main population being seniors, but we also cover other ones. So after I saw that, I decided that I wanted to do a program, and that's how Chair One Fitness ended up being born. And the process was pretty fun. I sat down in Starbucks and wrote a manual one day. and I didn't know if it was going to be good. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be great. I wanted to equip people to teach what I had learned over these last 9 years.
Yes.
Because every fitness instructor who I asked to sub for me, they weren't prepared. They always came back to me like, girl, I can't sub for you anymore. This lady's denture slid out in the middle of class.
Oh,
And I'm like, I was like, that's to be expected. Like, why? Like, in my mind, I didn't know how much they needed to be prepared.
Right.
So I wanted to create a program that prepared people to not only deliver an excellent class, but also to prepare them to understand these different populations. And wrote the manual, and then sent it off to get accredited, and then it got accredited, and then boom, and everything else happened from there.
Yes, and it was born. You know, that is what is so cool, is that you really came across a need and solving a problem that no one had really stepped into before. That here is this whole group of people that are overcoming obstacles and need a way to stay active and healthy. And, you know, there you are.
Yeah, I know. I respect the other programs that are out there right now. And I always mention them, even when we have our instructor trainings and things. And I always say, if you were to go to a gym and ask somebody, what do you need to do to get healthy? They're not going to tell you, go take body pump every day, and that's all you need to do.
Right.
They're going to say, maybe take body pump for your muscles, maybe take yoga to maintain your flexibility, and maybe run to get some cardio, right?
Right.
So when I talk about the other programs, we're all different. We all offer something different. I think our largest competitors or companies that are in the same niche are Silver Sneakers, right?
Right.
Silver Sneakers is phenomenal. Those are the ones where you normally see the resistance bands or the blue block or the paper plates, something like that. And it's very functional. The music is in the background so that they can hear and know the repetitions of counting down, but it's functional training that they need, right?
Right.
Another one is Zumba Gold, and that is mainly, everybody knows Zumba's where the party's at.
Yes. The
And
music and the
yes,
dancing.
music is fun, but it's not necessarily as functional, okay? So they'll have fun. So what we did with Chair One Fitness was took the functionality of like a Silver Sneakers, took the fun part of Zumba, but Zumba is also Latin based, and we have some Latin music every now and then, but we really like to give the people the music that they love and that they grew up with, right? So we kind of merged it all together, and then we stirred in some ADLs to make sure that they were getting all their functional training. And so I really love that we bridged the gap between fitness, recreational therapy, and activities professionals, most importantly.
Right.
And whenever I talk about activities professionals, I love activities professionals, because coming from the fitness world, when I first went to a senior home, wow, activities professionals, they are some busy people.
Yes. Yes.
They're pulled in 1,000 directions a day.
Right.
And if anybody's listening and they don't know, like, they're the people who make sure that, as my son would say, the grandmas and the grandpas are taken care of.
Yes.
Between hair appointments, doctor's appointments, bingo, puzzles, daily chronicles, nails done. I'm like, good God, they do everything.
Right.
They're magical people. They really,
Yes.
all activities professionals need a unicorn.
They are, yes. And,
So,
especially right now, they are
yeah,
really stepping in, and not only do they do amazing work every day and make those facilities come to life, but they just are, you're right. They deserve those angel halos.
yes, they do. So I
For
just had to give them
sure.
praise really quick.
I
So,
love that. I love that. Well, we
yeah.
always look at it too as that really it's the hope of something to look forward to, whatever that is for someone. And, it's so important to have something in the future that you are excited about, whether it is a fitness class or you're painting or you're seeing a loved one or you're getting together with friends. And those activity professionals, but also family members and loved ones and people that can play a role in that, giving those people hope, and that, something wonderful to look forward to. It keeps us going. We all need it.
Yeah, I know. And I'll say, like, with Chair One, and now during our trainings, we go through a lot of information and data as far as what makes it different.
Mhm.
Somebody from the outside may not even fully understand, but anybody who takes the training, they know all the steps we go through to ensure a quality class. And a couple of them, as far as relating to like at a senior facility, in our training, we go over all the benefits of it. So it's the fitness element, the therapeutic element, and the
Right.
music therapy element, right?
Right.
And the other thing that we take a lot of pride in is the science behind creating a social environment. Um, because when people are together in a room moving in unison, it is a social time, right?
Exactly.
You get to listen to music, you get to exercise, you get to laugh with your neighbor, especially
Mhm.
when you guys start having a really good time. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the other elements of our program, is making sure to create that social environment. So I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love it when I get to experience it. I miss my seniors now because all the classes are on hold.
I know. I
I
do
know.
too. It's
But
been tough. Yeah. We'll get
yeah, and
back.
so, but that's why I also like doing
Yeah.
the trainings for activities professionals, because then even if they can't allow outsiders in, then they can themselves know how to deliver a class.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a good point to touch on is your instruction program for those activity professionals. Is it also available for really anyone or family members or a loved one to go through that program and to learn those components?
Yeah, we have our instructor trainings, and we actually have them online right now. And it's an instructor training program, so the activities professionals could do it, and of course they could earn continuing education units. But anybody could actually go through the program. But let's just say it's just like if somebody's in, would normally go to an adult daycare, but now they're at home.
Right.
We are about to launch our rental classes. So therefore, if you're just at home with your mom and you don't know how to teach, you can just literally log on and rent a video and work out side by side with them if you so choose.
Oh, that's incredible. That's
Right. So we do
perfect.
instructor trainings because we love our instructors.
Yes.
Instructors, I
Yes.
let them know our mission. They know this during the trainings. Our mission is to give the gift of fitness to those who need it most. That's what we do. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Mm.
and so I always go through that. I was like, your mission is to give the gift of fitness, and I need you guys to go out there and do that. And
Yes.
so that's what our instructors do. But if somebody is at home with their mom, or if they're at home themselves and just have like maybe an injury or are just trying to get started, they're like, hey, I don't want to teach. I just want to reap the benefits.
Right.
And then we also have the classes that will be available.
That's wonderful. And we'll touch on that later too. So, what's really exciting is you took all of those components when you thought about creating your program and really using that scientific evidence. And, just generally speaking, what are those? We know that there's benefits to staying active, but could you touch on specifically what are those benefits, especially as we age, to staying active?
Yeah. Well, I know there's different fitness styles and different um fitness benefits depending on what kind of class a person is taking, but there are some general benefits. One of them is the physical benefits, and that's improved cardiovascular health. The thing is that even if somebody's sitting down in a chair, it's important to get their heart rate up at least once a day, really, because that's what's going to maintain that heart health, because you got to continue to use it. I actually learned this from personal experience when I was teaching my high impact classes 3 times a week. My maximum heart rate would typically be 132. I didn't teach for 1 month, and then I went for a run, and my heart rate went to 176.
Wow.
I was like, what? What happened to the 132?
Yes.
And that was just, I couldn't believe how quickly the heart could change with not being active.
Right. In that short amount of time.
Yes. And that showed me the importance of keeping your heart getting up. You got to get the cardio. And not only that, when you get the cardio, it helps your heart, but the blood flow helps the rest of the body. The blood flow will help keep or prevent osteoporosis, or at least slow down the process, because you want that blood circulating throughout the body. It's what's going to help the muscles. It's what's going to help if somebody has inflammation in the body. Keeping the heart pumping is what's going to keep everything circulating. And as we know, when people age, we oftentimes have problems with circulation.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we're getting the heart rate up. We want to make sure that we're getting the body moving for those purposes. The other thing with the physical benefits is improved flexibility and range of motion. As we age, we know that we have all kinds of things like gout, gout arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, all these things that make it difficult to move. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping the body in motion so that they can stay in motion for their activities of daily living. I always say, if you want to reach for your remote control, if you want to put a plate in the cabinet. And my favorite one, getting your foot up. And I'm always like, getting your foot up may seem simple to some people, but could you imagine not being able to get your foot up? Who's going to cut your toenail?
Yeah, or put on a sock.
So I'm like, I would like to cut my own toenails.
Right.
And so therefore, we want to always have that good flexibility and range of motion. Also, it can slow down the onset of things like diabetes, and everything else. So the physical benefits are amazing. The other benefit, depending on the program, is the neurobiological benefits, and that's just your brain health.
Right.
When you are able to follow an instructor or follow a fitness regimen, you have to be able to listen and execute a move, which is keeping that brain active. Okay. And that's what we want to do. So of course, we all know there is no cure for Alzheimer's and dementia, but we can do the best that we can in slowing it down.
And keeping those skills sharp,
Yeah. And so, so those are the main things, is the physical and the neurobiological. Now, the other benefits, I can only speak in regards to Chair 1 specifically, because I'm not sure, because I haven't seen the other programs.
Right.
So, but with Chair 1, what we've seen is an increase in participation from the members and our residents, which is great, because when you can get everybody in a room, you're getting more people active, you're keeping more people healthy. By having an increase in who's taking the class, we've also seen an increase in enrollment at the facility, because normally during a class, that's when the senior home has all like the walkthroughs with the visitors. When they walk by a class and they see everybody jamming and having a good time, their first thing is, I want my grandma to go here.
Exactly. And I think it's such really a marketing piece too for those facilities to be hosting such high-end programs, so that they can really showcase our residents are engaged, they're really active, they're happy when they're doing these programs. It's just a win-win for both the senior and the facility and the family member, because they're going to have really happy loved ones.
Yes. And so I know with Chair 1, our instructors understand the science behind it. The residents, we don't tell them all the science. They just think they're having a good time. We know that we're incorporating ADLs. We know that we're creating a social environment. We know the health benefits. We know how to keep their attention. But for the participant, oh my gosh, they just think they're having the time of their lives.
Yeah. They're like, we're with our friends. There's really good music. We're getting out of our room.
Yeah.
We're staying active.
Yes. So it's really cool. I can't wait to hop back into a live classroom because I answer the students, and I happen to have a love for seniors. That's my favorite population. I know
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that we cover so many populations between children in wheelchairs or somebody with, spinal cord issues or brain injuries or veterans or the obese. And I love all populations, but my favorite
Yes.
population is seniors. That's my favorite, like my favorite.
Oh,
I think seniors are the funniest people on the planet. Um, and so yes, I definitely like to make sure they're having a good time.
that's so great and so important. And what's so cool is how your program accommodates all these different levels of mobility and, groups of people. And you also, I know when you're working with this population, really take into account that cognitive ability as well. How do you do that? How does your program kind of address those issues, right? Because sometimes we're working with varying levels of cognition, possibly dementia, possibly Alzheimer's.
Right. So with Tier 1, how we overcome those hurdles is with our queuing, we have a tendency to count down. That way they can participate with us. Okay. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
if we're like, hey, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they have a tendency to count down with us, and it lets them know that we're about to change something. The
That's
other
really cool.
thing is we normally have a dance corner, and we're prepared to know that somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's may wander,
Mm-hmm.
That's just a trait that they have. They can get up at any given moment,
They sure can.
just might start dancing. And so we cover it. Hey, if they want to get up and dance, as long as there's like a designated area. The other thing is trying to learn their names when we can. That way, if you see something where they're getting distracted, you can just say, hey, Betty, come on, let's keep dancing, because that'll snap them back in with you, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and also with our music choices, we have two kinds of music, which is timeless and of their time. So timeless music is like what we call the cookout company party music, which is just everybody loves it, like Bruno Mars, right? Who doesn't like Bruno Mars? So
So good.
that's timeless music. And then we have of their time, which is like your Motown, your doo-wop, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of mix them up together, and it's really cool when somebody can't even remember my name, but they can remember all the lyrics to their favorite song, right?
It's
And that's why we
remarkable.
strategically place it there.
That is so insightful and so true because it really taps into their long term memory.
Yes.
And I spend time every week. I haven't been able to lately because of COVID, but with a woman with dementia, and we spend many days of the week together. And our favorite thing and her favorite thing to do is we dance and we sing the music of her time, and she
Yes.
can. She can sing every single word to every single song, and it just makes my heart smile because she is so happy that she can remember those words.
It is
So
it's crazy
that
how
is
something
so
so
cool.
small can mean so much,
Mm-hmm.
because when people find out that their loved one, their parent, their family member, whomever it may be, is losing their memory, it's almost like it could feel like a separation, and or like a slow death, like they don't know me, like they're here but they don't even know me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's really hard because it's like, wait, they're still here but they don't know me, or they
Right.
don't remember all the good things that I remember. But there's something that happens, like a little fluttery heart thing, when
Mm-hmm.
you see that they might not remember everything, but I can still watch them have a good time, dance, and sing their favorite music. Meaning that even if they don't remember me, I still know they're having a good time today.
Exactly. In that
Um,
moment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I feel with my seniors. Like when we go through the training, I'm like, look, you're going to have students who forget you every single week. And in my mind, I don't care. I know that they had a good time with me for that 30 to 45 minutes that we got to dance together. And I was like, and that's all I need to know, is that they got to have a good time with me. And so that's one of the things we definitely like to do. And with those who have, I have one of my favorite students who has dementia. Her
Mm.
name is Miss Millie, and she is so funny. And I would tell you her age, but every time I ask her, it's a different number.
Right.
So I'm going to assume it's between like 89 and 92, maybe, because she
Yes.
keeps changing it. One time she told me she was 16. So,
Love that. Girl after my
so
own heart.
yeah, I'm like, okay. But no, she sings every single week. She dances her heart out every single week. She's frisky. Oh my gosh, she has like 2 boyfriends at the senior home. And she's funny. She's hilarious. And so and she repeats herself every week. So I remember I knew her, and her favorite things is like, if I'm like, is everybody fine? She was like, yeah, fine as frog's hair. She says it every week. Fine as frog's hair. And then whenever I'm about to start class, she was like, well, y'all better sit on your butt and shut up. Every week, like clockwork. So then when I had a training and I tell everybody about Miss Millie, my team came with me to class and Miss Millie was there. And I didn't even have to tell them who she was. I said, is everybody fine? And then she said, fine as frog's hair. And they gasped. They were like, oh my God, that's Miss Millie. Like, she's
They
real.
know, yes.
Yeah. And I was like, she says it every week. Like, she's so predictable. I know she's going to say it exactly the same way every single week. But to her, it's different. But, you know, and
so heartwarming.
it was funny because one time we had the health journals come out and do an interview with us. And she said it to the journalist and he wrote it in the article. And so when I showed her the article, I said, hey, Miss Millie, they quoted you in here. She said, what'd I say? Fine as frog's hair? And I was like, yep, that's what you said, you know? And so even with memory loss, we can still have a good time.
Absolutely. So, and connect,
yeah.
You know, it really is about that.
I love her dearly.
Oh, that is so cool.
And it's funny because even if she forgets me, I won't forget her. So
yes, they are imprinted on our hearts.
Yes. So even if they're forgetting us, they're making an impact. Absolutely. And I love that because our students make just as much an impact on us as we do on them. So
yeah, absolutely. Oh, so cool. We really touched on what family members can do with their loved ones. And you talked about those classes that they could access. And tell us a little bit more about that. If someone's, maybe not ready to do the instructor route, they might be inspired and, a little bit.
Right.
But how can they utilize that, and where can they have access to that?
Right. It's on our website, and that's at www.chair1fitness.com. And basically what we did was we created videos in different levels. That way you don't have to have them modify on the spot. We created it for them. We have what's considered our high intensity, which is for those people who are pretty active, but they just maybe have complications standing. It could be an active person with vertigo. It could be somebody who's younger with a torn ACL, right?
Right.
Then we have our low intensity, which is more so like your assisted living style, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that it's assisted living. They probably have their walker and they could come and go. And then we also have one that's even lower than that. That's for skilled care. Okay, so we really slow it down for them, but still include the ADL so that they could get some movement. Mm-hmm. So we load the videos at the different levels. So either the person who's renting it themselves or the person who's renting it for a loved one, they could kind of pick their level and have something for them. Because what would happen if we only offered one level, you would have one group who can do it and one group who can't.
Right. And so how helpful for a family member or a facility and loved one, you really took that guesswork out of it. And that, being in the profession and having to think on the spot and try to adjust to everyone's different need is stressful, and it's hard to do because you want them to be successful at what they're doing.
Right.
And I think being able to have those skill levels already available that's huge. I mean, that's really great. So very helpful.
We definitely did it in levels for that purpose. And also because right now, more so than ever, mm-hmm. we have the senior homes who want to play it on their television. And if they just were to pull up a regular chair exercise program, it's going to be at usually a higher level. Correct. And then their people are looking at it like, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. And it might be something that they have to build up to. And And so that's why we go ahead and offer the skilled care. And I know this one's not being released in May. It's being released later, but I'm really excited about it. So we're going to be releasing one of the programs, which is going to be focused on the upper body, because there's so many groups of people, like at different wellness centers where they have wheelchair classes where nobody has mobility, waist and below.
Right.
And so we wanted to do a workout where they don't feel like, dang it, every time they do the legs, I don't know what to do. So we're going to create the upper body one for those who are wheelchair bound with no mobility below the waist. And I'm really hyped about that.
That's encouraging. And what it does is it makes them feel like they can be successful at it. I think that's part of the half the battle is really wanting them to still come back and do the program and being excited about it, but feeling like, you know what, I'm actually set up for success. So I will look for that. That's encouraging.
Yeah, I know that our part of our mission statement is to remove the boundaries created by perceived limitations, which is a very fancy way of saying we take away a person's ability to say no and I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that
Yeah, that's
because
powerful.
so many people, we've all had, and when we talk about perceived limitations, I always mention how it's not just perceived limitations that people put on themselves, it's the ones that we accidentally put on others, right?
Right.
So we might see somebody who's elderly and we might think they can't work out. I mean, they're 100, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yet in the high intensity class, I have one of my students who's 96 and does the high intensity version. I also have somebody who's 96 and in skilled care. So it's like, I like that we just take away all the reasons why somebody can say no and give an option to everyone.
Absolutely.
Now, for the person who might want to have their excuses not to work out, now they might be mad that we took their excuses away, but we did. But most people are happy about it.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard for us to start new things. And once we do and we grow into that, then, we come a long way. In fact, you read my mind. That was my next question was, I love your mission statement. Do you have a success story you could share with us? And you just covered all of those, which is so, we are on the same page.
One story, which I think is pretty cool though.
I'd love to hear it.
So about perceived limitations, like remember how I said I was pretty much in training camp for 9 years before I developed the program, right?
Right.
I was in senior homes for 9 years, which means I got to see everything, all right?
Best education ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as far as something that I got to learn, and I love talking about when I had to learn, that it clearly states I'm not perfect and I'm still learning every day. So I accidentally, before I created the program, I accidentally put a limitation on a student and didn't even notice it. I had a guy, he was so funny, and he was in a wheelchair. And he came to class and he would just work out with me in a wheelchair, and I thought that was it, right? And then one day I was getting ready to leave class and he said, hey, come here, I gotta show you something. I was like, okay. So I went over and he grabbed a walker and stood up and walked 10 feet one way and came back to his wheelchair and sat down. He said, ha, look at my progress. And I was floored. And the reason why is because remember when I said we removed perceived limitations, not only the ones that people put on themselves, but the ones we accidentally put on other people. Because I had the preconceived notion that once somebody's in a wheelchair or once somebody reaches a certain age, it's all downhill from here,
Yeah, I mean, society kind of puts that out there, and we get like to change the narrative.
Yeah, you don't improve. It's downhill. What do you mean? It's like, now when grandma starts losing her memory, it's just all downhill. You know that when you're over the age of 75, go ahead and give up. You got arthritis. You're just going to be stiff. Mm-hmm. And when I saw him stand up, number one, that was my first time seeing him stand up. I didn't even realize he was like 6'3", 6'4". He was tall. And I didn't even know that. So I was quite impressed. I was like, wow, you are really tall.
That's fun when that happens.
Yeah. And then he took 10 walked 10 feet. And I'm like, okay, wow, that's crazy. I've never seen this happen before. I've never seen somebody who is at his age go from a wheelchair to a walker. And then I thought about what that must mean for his quality of life. Meaning that, could you imagine if you're in a wheelchair, if you're in your bedroom and you have to go to the bathroom, that means you have to get out of your bed, into the wheelchair, wheel yourself to the bathroom, get out of the wheelchair, onto the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not when you have a walker. When you have a walker, you can just stand up, go to the bathroom, and then get back in bed. I thought about his quality of life and how much it has improved just from him being able to take 10 steps.
Yes. And his confidence.
Oh, he was so excited.
Oh, it's like a
And
day maker.
so that's what broke me. That's what broke me out of having limitations on people. And I needed to be broken. I needed to break that mentality so that I could now teach others to break that mentality, right? So
Such a
I was very
gift.
happy for the lesson that taught me, because now I know people can grow and change, and it's not all downhill. It's not all downhill. And I think that's why there's not a lot of programs out there, because people think it's downhill from here, and it's not.
It's
And that's why
not.
we're here.
I'm so excited. And you know what? We're going to change the narrative. We're going to get the word out. The first part of my career, we didn't touch on this before, but I worked in a transitional care unit, which is a fancy word for a rehab unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that, just to touch on the same point that you were talking about, is I kind of had the same mindset, but working on that unit and seeing the incredible change that happened and the success that people, after walking through, therapy and rec therapy, and to see them come in not really able to do a whole lot or move and walk out that door. I mean, that right there taught me so much.
Yeah.
And then you really want to just like tell everybody, you don't know what can happen. So many amazing things can happen. Don't give
Yes.
up. Don't give up. So cool. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No, and thank you for sharing with me as well.
Yeah, it's just so awesome. We also I had a chance to see all of the organizations that you are accredited with. Tell
Oh,
us what
yeah.
some of those are. I mean, that really gives you that validity. Not that you need it because you have such a great program, but
Yeah.
just having those, come behind you is just, the better.
Yeah, I am super proud of all of our accreditations, and if I've done my research correctly, we're the only fitness program that actually has broken out into these other fields, right? Which to me was a huge accomplishment. So funny backstory is that when we submitted for these accreditations, I truly thought that I was going to send them our curriculum, and I prepared myself to get rejected. And once I got rejected, I thought, okay, I'll learn from it. I'll ask them why I got rejected, and then I'll resubmit it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I submitted it, what I didn't expect was to get approved on the first try. And
So
then I was
great.
literally I was like, yes.
Yeah. Best news ever.
Right. So we are accredited with a few organizations, and I love this because this is what solidifies that we bridge the gap. And for each of these organizations, we provide 8 continuing education units with our training. The first one is the NCTRC, which is the National Council for Therapeutic Recreation. And that's for all of our rec therapists, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a fun alternative to still be giving them therapy, but with music and with ADLs included. We also have NCAP, which is the National Certification Council for Activities Professionals, our all-stars who are out there. And I love that because with senior living facilities, I think it's really cool when the activities professional can offer the class themselves. The reason why is, and this is not to take myself out of a teaching job, but if they can teach it themselves, that means they save money on the budget instead of having to
Right.
hire somebody to come in. Okay.
So
Um,
cool.
and so we also have the NCCDP, which is the National Certification Council for Dementia Practitioners. I absolutely love them because they literally said, yes, you do help people with dementia and Alzheimer's. The other one is NASM, which is the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is pretty self-explanatory, and AFA, which is the Aerobics and Fitness Association of America. So it definitely falls into the category of fitness. So even when we can ramble off the accreditations, it bridges the gap between fitness, sports medicine, activities professionals, and therapists. So we really, really like that
Yeah,
about it.
it comes full circle and really ties it all together.
Yeah. And so I'm really proud. I'm very, very proud of the accreditations, and I'm very proud of how well we prep our instructors. Because whenever somebody comes to a training, we always say we're going to teach our fitness instructors how to understand therapy and activities. We're going to teach our rec therapist how to understand fitness and musicality, because we're bringing it together.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so comprehensive.
Yeah.
And a great program. On that note, this information was so helpful, so insightful, really, really encouraging. I think it's going to equip people that they can tie fitness and social wellness and rec therapy and all of those components together, not only at home with their loved one, but if they work in a facility, to be able to pull those programs and feel really, really well equipped. We are just so thankful that you could join us today. Do you have any final words of encouragement or wisdom that you want to pass on as we wrap up tonight?
The only thing that comes to mind is our number one core value. And our number one core value is compassion for the people. When it comes down to teaching special populations, we have a lot of hurdles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always encourage all of our instructors, core value number one is the most important, and that's compassion for the people. That means that it's not a bad thing if somebody's forgetful, if they have dementia. They're still a person.
Right.
It's if somebody's obese and working up a sweat, we understand the body, we understand smells, we understand what can happen with crevices, but they're working out. Don't insult, don't hurt this person. They're trying. If somebody working in a senior home, if somebody has, urinated, or in the other case, if dentures fall out, or, if somebody maybe has the conditions where they might drool or anything like that, don't insult or hurt that person. They're a person. These are people. These are people who need us. These are people who need understanding. These are people who need compassion. We also talk about those with Down syndrome and autism who might function a little bit differently and who benefit from being seated in a workout, but have compassion for the people. Because just because they're different doesn't mean they are less deserving of love, doesn't mean they're less deserving of fitness options. And so that's my main thing, is compassion and etiquette. Really big on that. And that's really have compassion and think about the other person, think about what they're going through, and try not to be judgmental, and try to be understanding, and try to love on them as much as you can, and strip down all those negative things that you might naturally feel, and strip down all those things that you might normally laugh at with your friends, and really think about it. These people are special, and we need to love them, and we need to show them compassion. That's what we need to do. And so that would be my thing, is just showing compassion for the people and be understanding and inclusive.
Absolutely. And that is, I couldn't think of a more perfect way to end this conversation. It really is your passion for what you do and for this group of people really comes through. And I just applaud you. And you can tell it's really people first. And, that dignity comes out. And we are just so lucky that all of these people in this world get to experience what you have to bring to them. So thank you for all you do and your passion behind it and all the care and compassion that you bring with you. We need more of you in this world.
Because you're pretty dope too, by bringing
you.
out all these services and letting people know what's available. So I'm totally in awe and have complete respect for you and for willGather. It's great. And so I'm just really excited, and I just think it's just awesome for everything to just come together and then completely find ways to benefit all these special populations.
Absolutely. Yes. Teamwork, right?
Yeah. If I give you a
Teamwork.
high five, virtual
Yay.
high five.
I know, virtual hug. Well, I look
Yes.
forward to staying in touch, and we will be putting all of these resources on our episode description so people can find all of the information about Chair One Fitness. So it'll be available. So thank you so much, Alexis. And
All right. Thank you.
Yay! Thanks so much. So we are going to try something new. I wanted to pull in one of my closest friends because we not only share a love of elderly, but learning and really just kind of diving into some of these podcasts and like being able to talk about them and say what we loved and all of that. So this is Anna Larkin. She is also an elderly caregiver for a woman with dementia and has had a lot of years of experience with that and just loves people and does such a great job with it. So welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I know.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. This is like, I thought about this. I'm like, I cannot wait to do this because we have so many amazing conversations about all these things, and like now we get to share it with the world. So thank you. So Chair One, after I talked to Alexis, I remember calling you on the phone and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to A, meet this person, B, see her company, but also listen to the podcast because it's like, she's just so great. So I want to hear like, what was your like first impression? What did you think about it?
It was unbelievable. I was so excited. And after checking out the website and signing up for the class and just really looking, I was like, oh my gosh, who wouldn't want to do this and how this could be used for absolutely everybody of all abilities. That's what drew me the most to it because it could be somebody in a wheelchair. It could be somebody at a senior care center. It was unbelievable. And I just love that that other people are noticing the need for that. I think that's so important in moving the body.
Yeah. I think one thing that stood out was that they had created these other fitness programs, but the one that surprised them was the video that had the most views.
Yes.
Was the chair. And I think it was like, she was like, oh my gosh, who would have thought? And that's the thing is that we, as a culture or society, it's an afterthought when really think of all the people that have a desire to be moving their bodies and to be healthy and to focus on wellness that aren't being thought about. And that's what's so cool is Chair One Fitness is thinking about them and making it accessible.
It's just like I said, unbelievable. And I love the energy. The energy part is, I think, the key to their success because I've sat in plenty of exercises classes at the senior care center, and this one, the music and the directional, that's another thing that I loved about it. She doesn't say left, right, it's all directional, like up, down, so it's so easy to be able to navigate through that. And there's different workouts, but the music is awesome. It's timeless and it's now music. And to get people excited like that, it's just, and you actually, I like did get sweaty. Like during the training, I was like, oh, I'm just sitting in a chair. Like, what?
Oh, it's a workout. It's a workout. That's so cool. That's so cool.
It was so much fun.
That's one thing meeting Alexis was the energy, like you said. Her passion just comes through and it makes you really excited about what they're doing and you want to learn about the company and check out you know, the program. And I think that energy also carries through to the instructors, but then also the residents want to feel like they're actually a part of something really fun and they can move their body and exercise in a way that, you know, they're not necessarily thinking about it, but they're like, I'm having fun and the benefit is I'm creating wellness in my body.
Yes.
Which is so cool.
It is.
Okay, so you, after me telling you about this, you signed up for the instructor program.
Yes,
which
I
is awesome.
did. I did.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about it, because you're going to be able to use this with your caregiving, but also maybe you were like, oh my gosh, I could teach classes places, which is so cool.
Yeah. I actually even did some last night just to I just watched one of her videos and I was like, this is really fun. Like, why wouldn't I just do this for no reason? It was fantastic. It was an all-day training, and it was so nice because sprinkled out throughout it really, we did all 3 intensity levels. So that was really cool to see the different modifications. And then also just meeting all these amazing people. And what I like most, what drew me most to the chair one is the integrity that she has. It's not just like you just do this training anybody, but it's that integrity is so special. And you can really tell that she's worked really, really hard on it. And I love that. And the training, I mean, it was so fun. It like flew by. I could not believe I was energized after. And I loved our routines that we got to do and our spotlight. She just makes it really fun.
That's so cool to hear. And I hope it encourages other people to really check it out, because it's like firsthand experience about it. And I loved, you called me right after.
I did.
And we got to talk about it. We were so excited. But that's something that also stood out to me was the integrity of the program, because how she explained it, it really does tie the fitness together, and then the senior living component with the certifications with NCAP and with the Dementia Council of Practitioners. And so it was like the full picture, bringing it together. So seeing that it carries through is just, super cool. So
yes. And I loved it too about the training, the ADLS that she sprinkles in there too, which I did not know about that before. But
so for people listening, the ADLS is the activities of daily living. So it's like brushing your hair or getting dressed. Okay, so how did she do that with the training?
With the training, with the routines that she would do, the lifting up the arms and just actually just going across the body and picking and simple things like tying your shoe, like bending down, doing continuous motions and that.
Yeah, totally.
And so it was fun.
That's awesome, because it makes it like, oh, I'm working out and I'm using this muscle because it's going to let me maintain the ability to tie my shoe.
Yes.
To put my clothes on, different things like that. That's really cool. Yeah. Real life.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun. I highly recommend it for people.
Awesome. Well, I mean, she's just great, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And I think Alexis and I are going to team up and do some fun speaking engagements in the future, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned on that. But yeah, thank you.
This is so fun.
Yay. I know, we're doing this again.
I love this.
For sure.
This is like my favorite thing, and then we get to talk about it.
And then I get to be with like my favorite person.
Yes.
Just
oh my
so
gosh.
Thankful. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
All your good insight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I love you so much.
Love you. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.